Shalom, friends. Good to be with you again. Ki Tetse milchama oloivecha. That's our parsha this week. Ki Tetse. It begins in a tough place when you go to war against your enemies. Both countries, I feel, attached to Israel and the United States are so filled with war and war rhetoric these days. We now have a Secretary of War again in the United States instead of defense. Israel is involved in one long war, it seems, for several years with different fronts: Gaza, Hezbollah, Iran, West Bank. And war has a way of making things all look black and white. Our enemy is evil. Oh, in Gaza, we saw absolute evil. I heard many people say in Israel, that was the absolute face of evil what Hamas did. Of course it was. It was terrible. It was horrid. Unforgivable. But if they are absolute evil, then lo and behold, we are absolute good because we're fighting them. And that's how Trump seems to characterize Iran as absolute evil. The United States is the guy on the white horse instead of the guy on the black horse. Yes, it's all black and white. If things are gray, it's very hard to fight a war. Wars sort of push us toward that sense of we are the good guys, they are the bad guys. And life is a struggle between these forces of good and evil. Of course, that's very much rooted in our tradition. We have a good instinct and a bad instinct. And the human being is a tabula rasa who's constantly fighting the war. The bad instinct is very powerful because lust and desire is on its side. But we overcome it. We overcome it with the help of Torah and mitzvot and prayer and inner strength. And we fight. We're always engaged in that battle. It's never over till our life is at an end, it seems. But there's also another model in the tradition. It's not the two angels fighting each other or the two inclinations fighting each other. It begins with a rabbinic statement in our morning prayers, Elohai neshama shenatata bi tohorahi. Lord, you have placed a pure soul within me. But that pure soul has trouble coming out, has trouble being discovered, because it's surrounded by what the Kabbalists will later call klipot, shells, husks that surround it and don't let it free. That image, by the way, comes from something in medieval Ashkenazi mysticism called Sod HaEgoz, the secret of the nut. The mystics compared the nut, probably the walnut, to the human cranium, with the moach inside and the klipa, the cranium surrounding it. And you had to break through the cranium, you had to break through the the klipa in order to get the outer shell of the nut, the hard shell, in order to get at the sweet meat inside. So the soul is the moach, is the inside, and there is a hard shell around us. And those shells, of course, the Zohar builds on this image inherited from Hasidei Ashkenaz, from the Rhineland mystics of the 12th, 13th centuries, and has four levels of shells with fearsome names, and they are strengthened. The shells are strengthened every time we sin, every time we transgress. The shells are strengthened, and the soul can't get out. The shells distance us from our own soul. Our own soul is there and is pure, but we are increasingly far and farther away from it. And many of us feel that I'm distant from my own soul. I'm distant from my own inner self. How do I break through? Rather than having to build a ladder to heaven, the question is, how do I break through the walls that have surrounded myself? Those walls, of course, probably are descendants of defenses we created ourselves. Klipot are probably defenses based on our fears, based on fears that then turn into hatreds, that then turn into all kinds of other negative things. We build those up to protect ourselves, starting from childhood. And then they become so strong that we ourselves can't get inside them. So that sense of those are two models: the good versus evil fighting on the battlefield, or the soul trying to break out of the shells that surround it. In Chassidut, there's a third model, and that's interesting to me, because the Hasidic masters, the Baal Shem Tov in a circle, talk about this quite a few places. It's a part of the Baal Shem Tov's teaching that's not much known, not much talked about. The shells themselves are divine. Nothing is created without the power of God. En davara yored min hashamayim, the Talmud says. No evil thing comes down from heaven. If the shells are there, God created them. God created them to challenge us so that we can turn them into good. Because everything can be turned into good. There is a deep optimism in the Baal Shem Tov in a circle. That transforms the dourness of Kabbalah into a very different and much more joyous and much more world embracing kind of teaching. They take the verse from the Psalms, Sur merav aseh tov, which means turn from evil and do good. Pretty absolutist, pretty black and white, if you ask me. Sur merav aseh tov, and they read it again and again. Haseret hara min hara. Sur mera, written as though it were a Hefil form, which means you can take the evil out of evil. And aseh tov, and you can make it into good. You can transform evil itself into good. Sometimes you see the formulation hara kiseh latov. Evil is a throne for good, which means it gives it something to sit up on, and therefore it can reach higher. Everything can be ultimately uplifted in a transformative way. And that's the task. The task isn't just to fight evil and defeat it. The task is to find the spark in it of divinity and transform it. So that is how they read, Ki Tetse milchama al oivecha, v'shavita shivyo, v'ra'ita b'shivya eshet yefat toar. When you go to battle against your enemy and you take captives, and then you see a beautiful looking woman, that of course is going to be the Shekhinah. You discover the Shekhinah within your enemy. You discover that the Shekhinah is there, and she can be uplifted. That even there is the presence of the Shekhinah. And therefore you take her to yourself, and then the question is, can you do it? Can you do it? Or when you get that captive girl home, does she not work out? You have to let her go. But she is your task, the task of redeeming her and transforming her and uplifting her. These two shitot, I would say, in the world of Hasidut and Musar, pass over in our day into the world of psychological therapy. There are therapists who really want you to work on your troubles, to fight your troubles. And there are those who really want you to go deeper into yourself and see yourself beyond those klipot. The idea of transformation, of taking the negative energies and transforming them into positive energies, discovering the positive within them, discovering the uplifting within them. That's the real task. That's the real task of therapy as far as I'm concerned. Now, does it work in the big world? Let's go back to the verse. Here we are. Milumadei milchama, people who are so deeply entrenched in warfare. Can we imagine it? Can we imagine seeing a spark of holiness in the souls of people in Gaza, or the West Bank, or South Lebanon? Can we see there's something to uplift there, and not just to crush, not just to destroy? That's the challenge to us. That's probably what we were put in this situation for. And that's the challenge we have to meet. I'm afraid sometimes that we become the klipot. Our fears, our very legitimate fears, have made us tough, have made us into klipot, have made us into non-receptive to the possibility that there is a spark of goodness there. And as long as we are non-receptive, we will never find out if it's there or not. Shabbat Shalom. Thanks for listening.